Prologue, the Phantom Asset. We love the cool factor of the super spy. When we look at Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, we see the absolute pinnacle of human capability. She doesn't have a magic hammer, a suit of armor, or super soldier serum flowing through her veins. Yet she stands shoulder to shoulder with literal gods and monsters. We watch her trick the god of mischief, outmaneuver alien armadas, and execute gravity-defying takedowns without ever smudging her lipstick. She is the ultimate phantom, charming, lethal, and entirely unshakable. But if you look past the leather suit and the sleek martial arts choreography, you realize that Natasha isn't just a hero who chose a dangerous profession. She is a human being who was systematically disassembled and rebuilt into a weapon before she even understood what a choice was. To live as the Black Widow is to live in a perpetual state of psychological debt. It is a life defined by the complete erasure of personal autonomy, a body weaponized by a state that viewed her as disposable property, and a mind haunted by a trail of bodies she left behind just to buy her own freedom. Today, we are stripping away the glamorous Hollywood spy tropes. We are stepping into the cold, gray shadows of the Marvel Universe to analyze the profound, daily nightmare of her reality. This is why it absolutely sucks to be Black Widow. Chapter 1. The Factory of the Red Room. Most superheroes have an origin story that begins with a defining choice or a sudden accident. Natasha's origin story begins with human trafficking. Before she was old enough to ride a bicycle, she was purchased by the Soviet state. She was placed inside the Red Room, a modern-day Spartan training camp designed for a single purpose: to strip away every single ounce of human empathy and replace it with conditioning. Imagine a childhood where you are never hugged, never comforted, and never allowed to rest. Instead, you are taught how to break a human windpipe before you learn basic algebra. The girls in the Red Room were forced to fight each other to the death just to prove their utility. If you failed a test, you didn't get a bad grade. You got buried in an unmarked grave behind the facility. But the final, most monstrous violation of the Red Room was the graduation ceremony. To ensure that their weapons had zero distractions, zero ties to the future, and zero vulnerabilities, the handlers forcibly sterilized the young girls. Natasha's body was physically altered against her will, taking away her ability to ever have a biological family. Her own biology was edited by a government bureaucrat who decided that a womb was just a tactical liability. She didn't grow up, she was manufactured. Chapter 2. The Red in the Ledger. When Natasha finally escapes the Red Room, she doesn't get to live a normal life. She just changes handlers. She enters the global espionage market as a freelance assassin, piling up what she famously calls the red in my ledger. Think about the psychological toll of that phrase. A ledger is a book used for accounting. Natasha views her own soul as a bankrupt business that can never balance its books. When she talks to Loki in the Avengers, she explicitly mentions the crimes of her past: Dreykov's daughter, the hospital fire, and the political executions. These aren't just names to her. They are the ghosts that sit in the corner of her room when the lights go out. Normal people struggle to sleep after saying something embarrassing in a meeting. Natasha has to close her eyes, knowing she has actively destabilized nations, torn families apart, and ended lives for causes she didn't even believe in. She joined SHIELD, not out of patriotism, but out of sheer desperation to scrub the blood off her hands. But no matter how many times she saves the world, the ink never fades. She is a prisoner of her own history. Chapter 3. The Chameleon Without a Face. To be the ultimate spy, you have to be nobody. Natasha Romanoff is an expert at becoming whoever you want her to be. In Iron Man 2, she plays the quiet, competent legal assistant, Natalie Rushman. In The Winter Soldier, she is the cynical, tactical partner to Steve Rogers. In everyday life, she is a chameleon. But what happens when you spend your entire adult life wearing other people's personalities? You lose your own. Natasha has spent so much time lying, manipulating, and blending into the background that trust becomes a foreign concept. She can't let anyone get close to her because her default survival mechanism is to analyze how to kill them with a fountain pen. When the Avengers split apart during Civil War, Natasha's hit the hardest. Why? Because the Avengers weren't just a team to her. They were her first real functional family. They were the only people who knew the real Natasha and didn't pull away in horror. When that family fractures, she's left entirely isolated again. She is forced to go on the run, living out of shipping containers and safe houses, changing her hair color once more just to survive the night. She is a woman who has traveled the entire globe but doesn't have a single place she can call home. Chapter 4. The Sentinel of a Broken World. This leads us to her darkest era, the 5 years following Thanos' snap. While Steve Rogers runs a support group and Tony Stark builds a peaceful life in a cabin by the lake, Natasha stays at the desk. She becomes the coordinator for what's left of the universe. She sits in that massive, empty compound, tracking cosmic distress calls, managing global resource distributions, and staring at screens. Notice her appearance in these scenes. Her hair has grown out, showing her roots, a visual sign that she has stopped trying to hide or maintain an alias. She looks completely exhausted, hollowed out, and fragile. When War Machine tells her that Clint Barton, Hawkeye, is traveling the world slaughtering criminals as a rogue assassin, she breaks down in tears. Clint was the man who saved her, the guy who made the call to bring her into SHIELD instead of killing her. Watching him turn into a monster is the final blow to her spirit. She realizes that the world she sacrificed her humanity to protect is completely broken, and she is the lonely janitor trying to sweep up the ash. Epilogue. The soul for a stone. The ultimate tragedy of the Black Widow comes to a head on Vormir. To get the Soul Stone and bring back the universe, a sacrifice must be made. A soul for a soul. When she and Clint fight on that cliffside, they aren't fighting to kill each other. They are fighting for the privilege to die. Clint wants to jump because he feels his crimes as Ronan make him unworthy of life. But Natasha stops him. She drops off that cliff, not because she hates life, but because she finally sees a way to balance the ledger once and for all. It sucks to be Black Widow because her entire existence was a brutal trade. She had to buy her childhood back with blood, her identity back with lies, and her family back with her life. She died alone on an alien world, miles away from the home she never really had, leaving behind an empty chair at a table she built with her own bare hands. She was an Avenger, yes, but she had to pay the ultimate price just to prove she was human. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the shadow profile of Natasha Romanoff. If you want to continue exploring the hidden emotional realities behind the world's most famous characters, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and leave a comment below. Did Natasha get the closure she deserved? Or did the universe treat her as just another asset to be spent? Until next time, keep your eyes on the shadows. He doesn't fly. He doesn't wear an armored suit. He's just a man with a bow and arrow, standing on a battlefield where gods throw cities at each other. But being the most grounded Avenger means you feel every broken bone. It means watching your family turn to dust, losing your mind to the dark, and holding the hand of your best friend as she falls into the abyss. Next week, we're looking at the true cost of never missing. Why it really sucks to be Hawkeye. Subscribe and don't miss it.